doesn't seem to
Yeah,
bother
he
people
didn't
at the
ask for more
convention.
votes in Georgia. That's BS. Okay,
He's on
so
tape,
like
isn't he,
inform
asking for more
yourself.
votes in Georgia?
Not asking for more votes,
He
asking for
says,
the
I need more
process to be
votes.
respected. And to this day, all the ballots haven't been counted. So educate yourself.
Oh, so your feeling is that he did win the last election. You still believe that?
I believe that the election was so irregular in multiple states that I do not believe in the results of the election.
Now, that might not be the sound you're expecting to hear at the RNC, but that's Harmeet Dhillon saying a Sikh prayer at the convention on Monday. She's a former vice chair of the California Republican Party and now a member of the Republican National Committee. Her rise in the party and her prayer have been seen as part of a move to sell a more diverse version of Trumpism to the party and to the US electorate. And Harmeet's with us now. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show. I think a lot of people listening to this in Britain will be surprised that a Sikh prayer was said on the main stage at the RNC. How did that come to pass?
Well, it shouldn't be surprising because I did the same thing in 2016 on the main stage of the Republican National Convention, and our party has regularly featured prayers of all different faiths at our events. And so, I mean, I take issue with your introduction to me as my rise is tied to attempt to show diversity. No, my rise is after 30 years of being a Republican activist, and I'm elected by 5 million Republicans in California. And I'm not elected as a diversity candidate. I'm elected as the best candidate for the job. So I reject that characterization. And I was able to give the prayer because I'm a member of the Republican National Committee. And
Understood.
members of the Republican National Committee gave a prayer at the beginning of the event, and another one gave a prayer at the end of the event.
Understood. I mean, I said it had been seen that way. Do you feel that your fellow Republicans in the hall embraced it? Because there was a fair amount of blowback to a non-Christian form of religious devotion on the convention stage.
There was 100% support. And in the last few days since the prayer, I get stopped by people I don't know who are at the convention, hugged, thanked, and praised for it. So I feel nothing but love here at the RNC events and in general at all my times I go out to Republican events. What happens online is a tiny group of, you know, I think malicious influencers with different purposes try to blow things up for their own purposes. And it is not the mainstream viewpoint of our party.
But if they're registered Republicans, are they part of the party that you recognize and want to be part of?
I don't know if they're Republicans. I don't even know if they're Americans. So I'm not really going to base any decisions in my life on internet trolls.
It's interesting when you talk about the sort of enthusiasm in the air and the love that you're feeling there. Because often, again, the way that these things are depicted over here in the media is about friction, let's say, at the very least, about tension, about divisiveness, about polarization. And yet, partly, I guess, because of the assassination attempt on your leader, there does appear to be, particularly this year, an excitement, a love for his candidacy and for everyone in the room. Is that your feeling?
Well, I would say the following, that there has been the party coming together for months now. And I would say that the enthusiasm level has ratcheted up, not just amongst Republicans, but even non-Republicans. You've seen that in the news, Silicon Valley leaders, after the debate where President Biden just completely tanked and did a terrible job and lost the confidence of many members in his party, not to mention undecided voters. You then pivot forward to the shocking assassination attempt. And Americans are patriotic and loving people. And the reaction from many Americans, my husband and I are, I'm sure, not alone, to immediately pray and to have deep concern. And so, yes, this is a 100% unified event. And I've been to many conventions. This is by far the most love, unity, enthusiasm, and speaking with one voice that I've ever seen. Even protesters have been next to nothing. And it's just been a very positive event. And it's a great segue and entree into the next 4 months of the election.
How do you feel about Joe Biden at the moment? I mean, specifically, do you think the time has come for him to step aside?
Look, I mean, there's Harmeet, the American citizen, and there's Harmeet, the Republican. So Harmeet, the American citizen, is very concerned about having a president who is completely out of it. He is not running the country. He is not mentally competent. He is. I made a comment the other day online. If he came to my office and asked me to prepare a will for him, I would be asking a lot of questions as to whether he's mentally competent to do that. He doesn't seem to be. So that's scary for me as a citizen because it invites people from abroad to be malicious towards our country, and
But
it
what about
means
you as the political strategist? I mean, he's a good
the
opponent
person
for
we
you, isn't he?
elected is not the person we elected is not running the country. Harmeet, as a Republican trying to win this election, Joe Biden is very weak, and I think most Democrats have basically confessed that he can't win. So you'd rather run against a weak candidate. But overall, I picked my American citizen side, and we really need a strong leader of this country. So the election day can't come soon enough. He's not going to step down. We really need a new speaker ASAP, new leader ASAP. I mean, and if he does step down, Democrats are going to be in complete chaos. I have no idea how they're going to pull it off. There are deadlines that have already been passed in some states. There's legally not possible and arguably in many states to get a new candidate on the ballot. There are campaign finance issues, there's popularity issues. Their top logical choice, Kamala Harris, who I'm well acquainted with from her years of disastrous leadership in California, is not popular. And so she has no coattails to drag along, other people down the ticket. And so you're seeing absolute full blown panic
Mm.
amongst the down ticket governors, senators, candidates for Congress. They're all freaking out. So I don't know how they're going to solve their problem. And so the political side of me is just interested to watch it and see.
I mean, you're right. She isn't particularly any more popular in polls than Joe Biden, is she? But no one is saying she's senile, and at the moment, that's a win. I mean,
She's not senile.
as
I
a
agree.
party, you'd prefer to be up against Biden, wouldn't you?
I'd be up prefer. They're both weak. Okay, and so is Gavin Newsom. So is Gretchen Whitmer. I think President Trump is on a rise, and that is not just because of President Trump and his incredible personality, but it is from the fact that the country is in dire straits. 10 million illegal immigrants pouring across the border, unaffordable gasoline and groceries, people feeling unsafe, uncertain job market. It is crazy and very unstable, and the country is really in dire need of change.
Why doesn't it seem to matter to Republicans that Trump is a convicted felon? I haven't heard anyone express concern about that.
Because nobody thinks that conviction is legitimate, and it is not legitimate. And I can tell you, as a lawyer practicing for over 3 decades, the conviction is one that should never have been brought. And now that the United States Supreme Court has ruled on the immunity issues that they ruled on just a couple of weeks ago, that conviction is going to get thrown out.
Can you just, I mean, briefly, can you explain why? Because that conviction relates to what Donald Trump, a jury found, did in the build-up to 2016.
Are
So he
you a
wasn't
lawyer?
president. No, I'm asking you to
Okay,
explain.
you're not.
So,
That's why
so
I'm explaining it to you again. The immunity ruling
hmm,
means that all the evidence that the prosecutors, including a DOJ prosecutor, used to convict President Trump included comments and statements and acts that he took as president. So
right,
that was
okay,
an
so that's why. So
overplaying
it's
of
a
their hands, and
technicality
so
that it
it's
would be.
banned.
So you,
It's not a technicality; it's a fundamental issue. It's a due process issue.
right.
It's an issue of due process. The conviction will be overturned. So no, no one is calling him a felon because first of all, the conviction was a joke, and second of all, we all now know it's going to be tossed out.
It's just fascinating because beforehand there were Republicans saying in interviews, if he is actually found guilty on multiple counts, I just don't think I can support that candidate. And that has disappeared. It's like people have dug their heels in
It
further.
disappeared because everyone saw how ridiculous the whole process was. And you even saw Democrats and legal scholars who don't support President Trump say this is a gross miscarriage of justice, this trial, the way it was conducted, the failure of the judge to recuse himself when he's clearly conflicted under New York statutory law, the shaping of the jury by the judge, the gag orders by the judge. This offends Americans' principles of justice. And
What
so
about when he tried
everyone
to?
here in this room agreed to be a delegate knowing that he was under this lawfare. And
Mm.
so everyone here is 100% united for him.
And what about when he asked for more votes in Georgia? What about that case? Again, it doesn't seem to
Yeah,
bother
he
people
didn't
at the
ask for
convention.
more votes in Georgia. That's BS. Okay,
He's
so
on tape, isn't he,
inform
asking for more
yourself.
votes in Georgia?
Not asking for more votes,
He
asking
says,
for
I
the
need
process
more
to be
votes.
respected. And to this day, all the ballots haven't been counted. So educate yourself.
Oh, so your feeling is that he did win the last election. You still believe that?
I believe that the election was so irregular in multiple states that I do not believe in the results of the election.
What
So I have
happened?
a hard stop. So as people told you, I have to run. We have to go into the hall. Our president is about to speak soon.
Yes. Well, I appreciate your time, and I know it's an exciting moment for you. Harmeet, thank you for joining us. Harmeet Dhillon there, former vice chairwoman of the California Republican Party and a national committee woman of the Republican National Committee for California.